Share my soul, ain't afraid to walk on coals. I ain't gonna tell no lies, I ain't gonna apologize. Can't stop me now, can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do.
Everywhere, and now I've got I've got the microphone on. Hello. So right, you people up there, that's Facebook Live. You people there, that's YouTube Live, and this is it. We're live. We've kicked off the start of the season 4, and it's all a bit much because I don't know what I'm doing with this kind of stuff, but we're getting there. I'm used to just recording, taking my time, putting the video on. If it doesn't quite work out, do take 2, but now this is live. We're in coronavirus lockdown, like most of you are out there. And it's now time for me to answer questions that you've had probably bottled up all over the winter. Because when was the last time we did a show, folks? Was it like November or something, or December? It's been a long time. So I did put out all the things out there that I could on YouTube, on Facebook, saying, and email. Send me out your questions, and you lovely people. And I think I have got one of the best communities that I've ever seen in my life on YouTube, because you're all caring and you contribute. So actually I've been inundated with questions, and I've done a bit of a list, but there's so many of you. So what I want to do is I'm going to start with a certain question that's going to start me talking about something. And if somebody comes on the right hand side, on my right hand side, I've got lots of questions listed out, and if someone comes up with a good one, I'll answer that on the go. If you want to just put your number down, your telephone number, and you want to call, I'll put you on live if I can. If not, then that's fine. But first of all, what's been happening so far this year? I've been busy. Anyone following knows I've been writing a book, and I finally got the book out, and it's up there. Get the Drive. Now this is a bit of a plug, but it's because I'm so damn excited about it. Get the Drive is obviously about sports sponsorship, but motorsport sponsorship, specifically to teach drivers how to get off their arse, how to make sure that they are going to get the sponsorship and stop using sponsorship as an excuse for not racing. Because as we know, sponsorship is the biggest pain of our lives when we're drivers, because we need so much cash to even get in the car in the first place. So we can just say, oh, I haven't got the money. I've been there. I know what it's like. To blame money is like someone on a qualifying lap blaming traffic. It takes it off your shoulders. It makes you the victim. Woe is me. I can't get sponsorship. But I thought, I've had enough of this. I'm going to go out there and find out the best strategies, the best things I know personally. And I'm going to go to sports agencies and drivers and teams that are getting sponsorship right now and ask them, just notice the camera's a bit funked up, and ask them, how do they do it? How do you get sponsorship? What's the best way to do it nowadays? And then I put it all into a book. It's not genius. I just went out there and found the answers. Also, I put in there how you as an individual can go and get the sponsorship to become an entrepreneur, a race entrepreneur. So as you can tell, I have to get rid of Facebook Live, by the way, because I think it's playing up. So it's just YouTube now. So as you can tell, this is my passion. I've been really going for this. And now I've made it into an audiobook. So it's on Audible. And I think for people that are not with Audible already, it's free of charge. So you can go in there, listen to 9 hours of me ranting on about how to be the best driver you can be, as well as get sponsorship. That's for you. So that's what I've been really pouring my heart into. And then I thought that'll do for now. You know, I'll do another book later on at another time. But then we had the virus lockdown. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to be home for 3 months probably. Like everybody else, home for 3 months. And what better time, or there isn't a better time, to write a book. So I'm doing one now on the warrior mindset, on the kind of mentality you need to be a champion. The kind of mentality that's going to help you get what you want out of racing. So this is really dear to me as well. Obviously, that's my real passion, is the mental side of the sport. So now I'm writing that. So that's just the lowdown on what's going on. We haven't been able to go anywhere because all the F1 meetings have been cancelled. So this is it. We're just at home doing esports, loads of iRacing, as you can see at the minute. And I'm coaching all my drivers online. So it's a bit of a difference, but It's forcing us to actually get better at the side of it. So that's what I've been up to. Now, I hope that all of you people out there, all you drivers and you wannabe drivers, you also have been busy up to now. And I bet that all your plans have come crashing down because the virus hit. Now, this is something that no one has seen before in our generations, in your mothers' and fathers' generations. They've never seen this kind of lockdown before, when everybody is fearful of something that they don't even know if it hurts them or not. Yet it stops everything. Commercially, economically, everything has just stopped, sporting. So now there's a lot of drivers that just don't know what to do. And that, I must admit, has been most of the questions that you beautiful people have asked me. And if I can just, a bit of tech here, if I can just show you some of the questions on this screenshot. I think I can. I'm really clever. Show you some of these. These are some of the questions, right? I've just highlighted in red what I'm actually going to start to say to people. But really, it's like, Enzo, what the hell am I going to do when it comes to handling? Sorry, what am I going to do now I'm at home? What am I going to do if I haven't got a simulator? Brad, that was yours. If I haven't got a simulator at home, what can I do fitness-wise? And we're all a bit stuck. Even when you talk to race teams, and they don't know what to tell you when it comes to if they're going to give you your money back or not. You just paid up all this money to race, and we just don't know. So we're all a bit in limbo at the minute. So I hear you. I hear the pain that you're going through, because it's not nice. You've just saved up. You just had one of you people tell me, I've just got 4 sponsors lined up, Enzo. They were just about to cross the line with me and going to join me this year, but then all of a sudden, no more. I couldn't deliver, so they've all said sorry, it's not the right time because of the coronavirus. So that was somebody who went out there and got the sponsorship, was really excited, or was getting the sponsorship, and then it all fell through. I've got drivers that've got their biggest chance this year to really stand out and make the big shot to F1, but they can't do it because the virus has come along. So it's crushed a lot of dreams, or it's at least made them very apprehensive and worried about what's going to happen next, because who knows? Nobody can tell us how long we're stuck at home for. So it is a bit of a weird situation. It's a nice time to have, obviously, trying to read your comments at the same time. Thank you guys, there's loads coming in. It's a nice time to have the first show, because I just want to tell you that I'm here for you guys. I'm here to give you anything you need advice-wise during this time, because it is a bit difficult. You're anxious. And I just want to put things into perspective. Race driving, being a race driver, is obviously a privilege. It's a first world problem, they say, if you can't really get the sponsorship to get into a car. Now, there's certain things happening. There's people dying everywhere, hundreds of thousands, right? It's going to be, or it is actually already. We've got to put things into perspective. And just imagine if you're another sports person, and for the last 4 years, you've been training for the Olympics, and now all of a sudden you find out you can't do it because of coronavirus. This is absolutely devastating to people's lives and dreams. So you're not on your own. So if you do find yourself getting a bit, woe is me, like I always say, and feeling sorry for yourself and being a bit victim mentality, just remember there's a lot of people in your position and a lot worse. And what's even more exciting is it's not just something that's making you step back and maybe halting your career, but we've got to see this as an opportunity. Now, this is going to answer a lot of people's questions that have come in now, but I'm just going to blanket answer them and say, when there's a recession, when there's a correction in the financial future or the horizon, the environment that we live in right now, it's an opportunity. This is your chance to make the most of what's going on. For example, when there's a recession, you see all the stocks and shares, right? They plummet. Now, if you can find, this is what me and the missus have just done, if you can find companies that you think, okay, for now, they're going to plummet, but if I invest now, when everything's sorted out and it comes back up, I'm going to make some money. And that's just one example of how recession can actually help people grow. It's as everybody recedes, you attack. You actually go on the offense when everybody else is on defense. And I want you to remember that, because as a race driver, you're trying to create all these different values for companies. So they'll pay you and then you can get that money and go racing with it, right? That's really what we're doing with sponsorship. It's like, how can I help a company grow? How can I give them more exposure? How can I entertain their clients, their staff? How can I really put more money in their pocket? And they're going to pay me to do it. And with that cash, I'm going to spend on racing. It's really difficult to answer that when everyone's on lockdown. But actually, these 3 months, these are when you prepare. This is when you put your sponsorship proposal together. How can I help companies come back with a bang? So when we get back to normality, they are there ready, and I'm giving them exposure. Even if you look after their social media, I'm giving them exposure in front of people now who've got lots of money, because people like you and me that are at home haven't spent a dime because we can't really go out. We haven't put any petrol in the car. So we're saving money actually. In England, the government's paying us 80%, right, of our wages. Well, not me, but for people that work 9 to 5s and PAYE, they're getting 80%, but they're not spending anything. So they're going to have a lot of cash and a lot of frustration of wanting to go out there, go and eat. So all the restaurants will fill up. They'll go and fly somewhere. So all the airlines will come back again. They're the type of people that you can not only invest in the shares, but also you can help them get the word out. You can use motorsport for all these companies and say, you know what, when we go back out into the normal world and everything's finished and there's not many cases left in the world of the coronavirus, you as a company are going to want to make a big noise. You're going to want to approach all these kinds of people that are at the racetrack. How now are you going to shout for these companies? I want you to start to think about that this week. Start to plan, what can I do for a company for when things get good? Or is it a company so that's one thing. The second thing is it a company that's actually doing pretty damn well now? And they'd like to tell everybody, maybe they deliver food. I need to tell everybody for them that they're open for business. I can help them. Even though you're not racing, you can still offer them a marketing package, because you guys know marketing social media more than anyone nowadays. You can offer them a package that gets their name out there and they just pay you some. Or you go to someone, an F1 driver, anybody who's got lots of eyeballs on them, and you say to them, do you want to earn 10 grand or whatever the figure is? Do you want to earn some money? I think I can introduce companies to you if you're giving them a shout out on your social media. You've got millions of people following you at this time when everybody's looking at their phone. So this is where you become a business person, not a race driver. I'm going to get companies that are interested in you as an influencer marketing, and I'm going to sell it and I'm going to make commission. Does that make sense? Business is to be made now. You've got to become a race entrepreneur if you want to survive in this sport. And now is the time to do it. Everyone's asleep. Everyone's scared. That's when you pounce. So all the people, I'm going to look at the questions again, so I'm going to take my eyes off the screen. All the people that ask things like, what's the best way to optimize? This was G-Strike, the best way to optimize my time at home over the next few months. Not only physical, but that's business. How can I create value for companies? This is you creating a career, because the louder you help companies shout, the more wealthier you're going to be. And when we get to esports, another thing, you love this because I always go off on one. Yeah, when you get to esports, having your car in their decals, going to Lando Norris or someone like that saying, you know how much esports you do? I can put a logo on your car, on the esports car, an iRacing or R-Factor, whatever they're racing, Assetto Corsa, and the company I've got will pay you for that, and you'll take commission, obviously, 10, 20%. Everyone's on esports. I went on to iRacing just last night, I think it was. Yeah, 13,000 were on there, and it's never like that. Well, it is, but not often. But now it's all the time. Everyone, you go on, and I was against Roman Grosjean straight away. Hoggard was on there straight away. And it's like, everybody's here because they've got nothing to do. So esports now is booming. That's where you can sell commercial value. There's a lot of companies now out there. They haven't got a clue about esports. They don't know how it works. They can see other companies like Nissan and BMW getting involved, but they're thinking, I'm not from that world. I'm a 60-year-old man or something. I run companies. All I know is print media, advertising. That's all I know. But you say, you know what? There's hundreds of millions. Pluck that figure out the air. on esports right now. Eyeballs, emotion invested in this game. If your company is there on the side of a race driver's car or anything else, on the banner that goes past on the race circuit, so you're right to iRacing, if you put your company there, that is very cost effective. Or you offer some kind of prize to the winner of a championship. I really hope there's one or two, even if there's just one person listening to this who is a bit switched on business wise, that sees the opportunity of how much money they can make through esports. Even if you host an event and you give a prize and people enter, but you hold the event, that's where it's all about. This is what the coronavirus period is really showing us now. Now, I've had to revolutionize the way I coach. I've had to use Zoom and Blizz and Skype to talk to my drivers and to watch them on the simulator and give them basically coaching as they go. And I've just partnered with AW Performance. I'm going to put it on the website. And they've started to do fitness tests and head-to-head fitness tests and exercises for drivers online. So if just me as a coach, just them as fitness coaches, the coronavirus period has actually forced us to up our our online presence. Because before it was like, yeah, I'll do some Skype coaching, but it's quite loose. But now it's all we can do. We can't go out to the race circuit. I don't know when I'm going to the next race circuit. We're supposed to obviously do the F1 events. I was going to do F3 and DTM and stuff like this, but everything's on pause and we don't know how long for. So I've had to up the side of, okay, what can I offer drivers online and put it out that way? But I'm not the only person. Everyone's had to do the same. They're all holding meetings. So just think now, even if it's not today, just start to brainstorm over the next week. How can you earn money through that avenue? How can you help companies do that better? And I'm sure with your beautiful young brain, you can start to come up with something. And that's, Brad, you asked me as well, what can I do at home? Because I haven't got a simulator. Now, there's a lot of people without a simulator. As you can imagine, I've been frantically trying to order things for drivers from Fanatec, actually is my favorite one, to say, right, we need to start coaching you. We need to make sure that I enter you into these races and train you first so we don't lose any time and get rusty. And none of them have got simulators at home. So we've had to buy them like crazy. You can see them all selling out. So I would invest. I would invest in getting the sponsorship, or anything to get that simulator in your house. And it doesn't need to be much. You can just get the cheapest Fanatec wheel and pedals. You can strap it onto your desk. As long as you've got some kind of computer that's got a good graphics card and a monitor, you're away. It doesn't have to cost a lot. Now, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to just transfer my stuff, but see that red seat behind? That red seat is obviously a simulator with the screen, and I've got the Fanatec Club Sport and the Club Sport wheels. It's right behind me there. It's always there, nice and present. I think I've moved things around since I last saw you, but that costs a bit because you've got the wheel and the pedals, which is probably nearly €1,000, and then you've got the screen, which is like 300, and the computer cost me, I did a thing on it, was it about 800 or whatever. So then it starts to jot up, but you don't need to spend that much money. That's just if you want to go a bit out there, and you can get direct drives and all sorts, obviously, if you want to. But you can do it cost effectively and just get it shipped. Most of them have still got it. Even if it's the local PC world, you can get something in. Because I say, if you're a good if you're a good esport driver, not only are you entering into a world that's going to take over, that's going to be big. You're also going to be a better driver. You're going to be knocking them cobwebs away. And you're going to be a little bit more valuable to a sponsor or I keep saying sponsor, got that on the mind, to a manufacturer. Because now they see how good you are on a simulator way before you get into a car. To say, okay, if he can't do a sim, if he's not got very good feedback or she got very good feedback on the sim, I'm not sure if you can trust you in the real car. So I'm afraid nowadays you've got no choice. You've got to be good at it. Even if you think, oh yeah, it's not real. If you take the Kimi Räikkönen approach where you're not really interested, I'm afraid we live in an age now where electronics, online, all this kind of stuff is really important. So get good at it. Get yourself a simulator. So anyone who hasn't got one, I say simulator, but it just means pedal, wheels, computer with a monitor and an internet connection that's pretty good. And then you're away. That's how you can maximize the performance side. Also, for everybody at home that's a bit frustrated, you can also do fitness. Do fitness for 1-2 hours a day. Build yourself a timetable. So 8 till 10 is certain fitness, whatever it is you want to work on. 10, you have a little break. 10:30 till like 2:30, you're doing sim racing. And then the rest of it, you're doing sponsorship or something. Now, it depends how they sort of, what the hierarchy is of these things. Maybe fitness is all right for you, so you can just do 1 hour. Maybe sponsorship is really important to you, so you can do 5 hours of that. But I would say live by a timetable. Do it Monday to Friday. Say, this is when I turn up. You have a shower in the morning, right? You do a quick stretch or whatever you do to get yourself in the right mindset. Listen to some music, jump in the shower, get changed into something good, and then sit at that desk or wherever it is you can work from at home and say, this is work time. So even though most of the world has stopped working or they're just working online, you are working. You are making sure that you're a professional driver while the world is on pause. And give yourself a big goal. After 3 months, or however long we're at home for, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to have 2 sponsors. I'm going to have made 10 sales for some esports influencers. I'm going to have put companies with them. And you just get on that phone. You say 500 quid, doesn't matter, right? 500 quid, and I'll put you on the side of someone's car on a race weekend, on esports, on my own car. I'm sure someone will go for it. Sure they will. All you've got to do is find the one client. There's 1,000 things you can do to keep busy at home right now. So if you're twiddling your thumbs, there's no excuse. There's no twiddling thumbs. It's like, this is perfect. This is my chance. The world is on pause. I'm going to freaking pounce. I'm going to make sure I'm going to make the most of this while everyone else is running around like headless chickens wondering what's going on. This is it. Every time there's a correction in the financial area of the world, which there always is, we've had a long time since 2008 when there hasn't been a correction. Everyone's been earning money easily, shall we say. This is it. And there's going to be a recession afterwards as well. There's going to be companies out there that need some kind of solution. It's your job to give them that solution. It's your job to think, what can I do for even local companies? The one down the road, what can I do to get him 2 clients? And you get paid commission for it. Which leads me on to what a lot of drivers ignore. And that's you becoming a business person. You're expecting to get hundreds of thousands in sponsorship, straight up. I'm going to race this. I'm going to get a company to give me 50 grand, another one to give me 100. They're going to be 25. But you've got no sales skills. You've got no experience on how to help a company grow. But now is your chance to spend the rest of 2020 being the kind of person who says to themselves, I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn how to be a person who can actually help a company grow. I'm going to learn how to sell. You do that this year. And you say, right, by the time December comes, I'm going to be the best entrepreneur, race entrepreneur that I could ever be that's out there at all. And that is your goal for this year. That will serve you in 21, in 2022 and 23. I want you to jump on this now. Even if it means doing a business course while you're at home, there'll be loads of free people just like me that are teaching business skills and sales skills. You go and flood your mind with people like that. Find out what you can do for a company. Get to know Facebook advertising. Become an expert and go to all these different companies and say, you know what, I will handle your Facebook advertising and your social media accounts. I'll do it all. If you're good at design, start to get a Wix account and start to make websites for companies, because there's so many companies out there and their websites suck. There's so many race drivers out there and their websites suck. So you could say, right, I'm going to actually do websites for race drivers, and you can make some good money. If you're at the very beginning, you're racing and you haven't even raced yet, and you want to race into something that's clubby, this is the kind of thing you can do to learn the skills at a very low level. Most entrepreneurs out there, they started small. They were probably working on a market stall, or they were going door to door selling some bloody windows or something. But those skills they learned in them hard days are what made them the millionaires they are now. You are no different. You just need a little bit of patience. You just need to understand what's going on in the world. How can I create value in that world and learn the skills to deliver it? That's it. This has become a bit of a business type video, which is, we're only on question 1. This is going to take some time, folks. I'm going to look at some of your comments, because there's been quite a few. Thank you so much, people. This is amazing. I thought there'd only be about 2 people that actually come here, but having a quick look. Walter was G29's just scrapped, blah blah blah. I agree, Enzo. Somebody agrees with me. Thank you, whoever that is. Nicholas Road. Anyone got any questions? Make it easier for me now. Put it in capital letters, because there's too many of them. Racing Wolf. Hello, Racing Wolf. Have you seen the Bahrain online with Lando? I don't think I did. But actually, my other driver, Ed Jones, raced against Lando last night in these V8s around, where was it? It was some circuit, Silverstone or something. I saw that one. That was interesting. Any other questions? Put it in. Go. Hello, Alexander. How you doing? Can you tell me the story of the helmet behind you? Ah, at least you didn't call me a helmet. Right, that helmet, it has been there a long time, hasn't it? This helmet was done, I reckon, around about the year 2000. Now, I was inspired massively by this person, Senna, but also even bigger than that, because actually I wasn't a Senna fan when he was alive, I have to admit. I was more of a Mansell fan. So this is part Senna, part Mansell. Yeah, I was a Billy. I was a racing fan that went racing, right? So don't blast me for that. Obviously the British flag. It was supposed to be half British, half Italian, but they got the green wrong, and I couldn't afford to actually get it replaced. So I said, just run with that. It's fine. I need it now to go racing. Number 6 was from a kart event. Gravity. Here was obviously the people I used to work for when I was a talent scout. And that little bad boy, I don't know if you can see that, the buzzing bumblebee, that was basically Angry Bee was my logo. And all that black there on my hand, if you can see it, just proves how old this is. It's all scummy inside. So yeah, that's my race helmet, the last one I had. The buzzing bee logo came from, I was a bit aggressive in the car. So every time I was behind someone, I think I told you this before, I had a rule. If I was behind someone, I would not go one lap being behind that person. I would make a move straight away. So then I got the reputation of, just because it was a black car, yellow helmet, just being this crazy bumblebee. I loved it. I latched onto that. And if everybody knows the PR company story, where I got a PR company to sponsor me, they came up with that and they did my website and everything. So yeah, that's where the helmet comes from. Right, anybody else got any questions? Put them in capitals, because I can't read fast enough. Back to the questions that were before. Jacob said, I'm starting my 2nd year of karting, and the owner of the team has committed to a lot before the season at college. Now the virus and everything, my season is looking a lot shorter. Yeah, definitely. Probably 4 months or so. How can I maximize everything to surpass expectations? Same thing. I want you to do esports, but do the race weekend, right? Host a race. Actually, I hosted a race not long ago, and we're going to do some more. So keep in touch, and I'll probably, anyone who's on iRacing, let's all get together and we'll do a race weekend where you do, well, a race event where you do like an hour's practice, 15-minute quali, and a race, and we'll all do it. Okay. So anybody who's interested in that, comment, and I'll friend you on iRacing, and we'll do that. Now, these are the kind of things you can do to kind of have perfect practice. And I want you to think about that more often. How can I perfectly practice for when I go racing again? Can I just visualize a lap? Can I watch videos, race videos of the kind of circuits I'm going to soon? You've got to ask yourself these kind of things as well. So how can you do that in the best possible way? Max Papworth, now you've commented on a few things, so thank you, and liked stuff on Instagram. Racing karting at high level, approaching the age of cars. Now, this is someone who's asking, I've been in karting, I'm doing pretty well now, but I'm getting to the age of when I should go to cars. What shall I do? Shall I save my money and stay kart racing? This is a beautiful luxury to a lot of people listening to this. Obviously, you'd love to be in this position. So first, Max, you're very lucky. Or shall I go to cars and do something cheap? Now, if you're not in a very top team in karting and you're in the European world stage, then I'd jump ship and go to cars straight away. This is just a personal opinion of mine, okay? I can be proved wrong, of course, but I think the only point staying in karting is when you're on a world championship status and you're going for these big things. You know, someone's spending hundreds of thousands on your karting career. Then an F1 team is probably going to spot you. Not, you know, you might not be after F1, but it's really important to know that. Otherwise, you're just learning the basics. I think now, doing a few years at a high level, you've done the basics. You know, it's time to move on. And actually, you'll find, like the BRSCC Mazda you mentioned, probably be about the same price. But when you're in a car, you're in big circuits, you're now stepping up the learning process. You can go around karting and win the events, brilliant, but is something really going to come from it? I'd just jump ship. I'd spend the last part of this year doing a few tests in a race car, see how you get on. If you think, geez, I need some more time, then that's going to change things. But just see how you get on. Just book a few tests in September or whenever it is we go back, and then evaluate. But again, like everybody else, start to earn the money now. How can I earn money at home right now? Even if it's just £10, $10, €10 today at something, just do it. It all adds up. Tiny little wins all the time, right? If you keep asking this every time you get up, how can I earn money today? What's my goal for today? Can I call 10 people and just see if I can get some kind of sponsorship or sell them whatever I've got, whatever skill I've got, okay? Perfect. Racing Wolf, is the dream so important if this invisible virus can stop everything moving in the world? That's a deep question, my friend. Are your dreams important when the world's going to shit? That's pretty much what he's asking. It's valid, and I would say yes. You always need two things, I'm going to say. You always need a light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, the mental health is going to plummet. You'll think, what the hell? And you'll just lose motivation. You always need something to strive for. Remember, we're pouncing now while other people are retracting. We're going for it. So yes, have the goal. And the second thing is, this is nothing more than a bit of winter. As with every season, it passes. The flowers start to bloom after a terrible winter. The sun comes and we're all complaining it's too hot. And then that passes as well. I predict that we will survive this virus, and afterwards there'll be many opportunities. So again, you take stock, just like a squirrel does with the nuts, but then you start to earn money in this time as well. You'll be ready to pounce. So yes, keep the dream going, people. Federico, you've been a follower for a long time. I can't manage at this time to focus on activity more than 3 days. Now, I want to answer this in another episode, obviously, because it's a big subject. But if you just follow what I said, Federico, and people out there that are motivated one day and they're not the next, you've got to say to yourself, what was I doing when I was motivated? What was I thinking? How did I spend my first few moments of that day or the night before that made me feel motivated today? And you rinse and repeat. You copy paste that. You stay focused on what needs to be done. Now, what I notice is that when people lose motivation is when they're not really taking the action they need to. They think about what they want, but they don't take the actions. And the brain's like, you know what, you're full of shit. And it's not going to do it, is it? So action creates motivation. As soon as you start to move, emotion comes in. If you start the day with a clear goal on what you need to do, you pump up that music, you go in the shower, you come out, you visualize what's got to be done, the kind of person you're going to be at the end of that week, and hold yourself accountable. And then you take the actions and get results from them. Your brain starts to say, I like this, and it'll do it more often. So as soon as you're losing motivation, you've got to come out of yourself and, like I always say, give yourself an emotional slap around the face, get it refocused. How important this is. If you carry on letting things go, if you carry on putting things off, your brain is going to give up. You don't do that. You've got things you want to achieve. If you're listening to this, if you're the kind of person that listens and comes to these videos, you're here to make a difference. I don't want to hear from you if you're just not motivated. I don't really know what I'm doing. No, you're here to work. You're coming here for some strategies that help you. So you make sure before you switch me on that you're feeling pretty good. You can come to me for motivation, but I want you to have motivation in here already. You don't need me. You just need me for a few strategies. That's it. Most of the emotion comes from you, and you've got to work out how to create it. And that's to everyone out there. Once you get something you're passionate about, though, half of it's done already. You just got to keep working. As soon as the results slow down, as soon as your actions slow down, motivation goes. Just don't let that rot set in, okay? All right, Kieran. There is a lot of questions, and these are just a few of them. He lives in California. That's nice. I just spoke to my California driver last night, Gustavo Menezes. He says they're starting a kind of lockdown, but not quite. Hoping to race F4 next year, get involved in a winter series. What separates top drivers from not so top drivers? So a random question here that's throwing a bit of a spanner in the works. Many answers to that. Now, I've worked in the same garage as some great drivers. If not coaching them, they've been the teammate. And actually, when it's the teammate, I'm learning more off them than I am my own driver. So I've been with Max Verstappen and Bianchi and Bottas and all these drivers, and I've watched them, and I've trained my driver how to beat these suckers. So I know exactly what it's like. But do you know what? I think it's work ethic and desire. If you get someone who will kill to race, they'll do anything to get into that car, and they've got a bit of skill about them as well, what else do you need? You need self-awareness to know if you're good at driving. So I have had drivers in the past that work so damn hard. They give everything they can, but you know what? They suck at driving. And some people never quite get their head around how to actually drive a car quickly. It's not in their DNA. It takes too long. They run out of money by the time they start to get there. So talent, skill has got a factor in this. You do need to be bloody quick. Obviously, time in a car allows you to get quick and you can learn to be quick. But when you've got that je ne sais quoi, when you've got what I saw in Verstappen for the first time when he was 16 and he was in our team, like, what the hell is that? How can you do that at 16 years old? He had that. I didn't have it. I haven't seen many drivers with it. So that's obviously part of it. But you can work your way through. If you're determined, you get the right, I don't want to say coaching because it sounds like I'm promoting myself. You get the right help at the right time. You're with the right team, right car, and you work tirelessly over it. I remember Bianchi, right? When he was with us in 3.5, Formula Renault, was with him with Tech 1. He'd be up there on the laptop doing the data on his own way after the engineer had finished with him. He's like, there might be something else I'm missing. And he was already 0.2 quicker than my driver. And he was already looking at my driver's data to say, how the hell could I go just that bit faster? My driver was good. He was also working hard at that point. I'm not taking it away from him. He's an amazing driver. But still, you just saw it. You're like, yeah, I can see that you're going somewhere. He would have been a world champion if he was in the right car. So really it comes from the person. It's like asking what makes a good entrepreneur. It's the same thing. It's that grit. It's that warrior mindset. It's you being there, giving your all, honestly, every day, and it means everything to you. And as humans, we just get to do things pretty good if we do it over and over again. If we get a 10,000 hours in of doing this particular thing, we get pretty damn good. Talent is learned. Obviously, some people have got a head start, but really, I say it's your application and your self-awareness to what you are and what you aren't good at. There's not one driver out there that's brilliant at everything. They'll probably be good at doing a qualifying lap, but they're not very good at consistency. They're probably good at race starts, but they're not very good at getting sponsorship or getting on with the team. So they're fast, but they're obnoxious. They're not going to get anywhere. So it is quite a big discussion about what makes a driver. But just let me tell you this. I know a good driver. God, I sound so cocky again. I don't mean that. But you can tell a good driver at the handshake. You look them in the eye and they look like they want to freaking kill you. You know that if you went into a fight with that person, it would be hard. That's when you know a good driver, if you got skill as well as that attitude, because it means everything to them. So again, this is another thing to rate yourself. Am I giving it everything? And you've got to be creative in the answer to this. How can I use these 3 months that I'm at home to make sure I do? Who could I study? What books could I read and take from and say, you know what? Alex Ferguson, leadership skills, Man United, one of the best managers we've ever seen. What could I learn from him? So you go onto Audible or you read the book and you say, you know what? He had 2 skills that I think I know would help me. And you learn them. How can I incorporate that into my life today, even though I'm stuck at home? How can I do it? How can I bring that into me? And you just become a different person day by day. That is how to be a champion. And to be fair, I want you to learn the kind of skills that give you the best chance to be a successful race driver, but to be a successful person. So if you go for racing for like 5-10 years, say, it's not working, like I did, and you say, you know what, I actually fancy this more. Whatever this is, you could be setting up a company, entrepreneur, or whatever. But the skills you learn in racing give you that. And the skills you honed yourself on allow you to succeed in that field. Boom, you're there. So you just want to be happy. At the minute, all of you guys have attached happiness to racing, which is great because it does. It makes you happy. But believe me, you'll get a few years and you'll attach it to something else. Like when you love your current girlfriend or boyfriend and then see another one all of a sudden. We do the way the mind works. All it's doing is attaching things and it creates an emotion. We take it far too seriously. But if you have the skills to make yourself successful at no matter what it is, you'll be great at relationships, you'll be great at business and great at racing. So I think the journey to become a great driver is personal. Sorry if this is taking a long time, everybody. What have we got? I'm a 17-year-old. I began karting 1 year ago. My life is to become a professional driver. Okay, I continuously try to be better on the mental aspect and never give up. I really enjoy racing on track. My question is, got to it, should I race every... Oh, right, they want to be open wheel, GT, they're not sure. Rallying, maybe. Do you stick to one discipline? If you're serious about succeeding, you stick to one discipline. Instead of being too broad and trying to be a master of all things and different kind of driving styles, it's great to learn rallying because it gives you car control. But if you really want to focus all that attention, make it laser point. If somebody wants to race and they ain't got the sponsorship, simple thing, put your fitness aside for now. Laser point on one thing, gaining sponsorship. And if you reverse engineer that, that just means how can I provide value for companies so they pay me? Or how can I go the investment route? Sorry, something I didn't cover. If you're racing in a championship that's got some kind of prize money, or it leads to something that has got prize money, you're investable as an athlete. You'll get some multimillionaires say, you know what, like a racehorse, we can put some money into this driver. And if they win, they get some payback. We get some payback. We get 30% of their current earnings, or future earnings, sorry. So there's the investment route as well. But what I'm saying is, if you want to succeed at something, laser point on that. You can always change later. Okay? Another thing, hopefully this isn't getting too bright on you guys. I want to become a race driver. Tino, thanks for tuning in. I want to become a race driver. Where do I start? If you're starting from zero, go get your race license. Go to a race school, do a race course for like a day, and you're driving a single-seater for the day. Try it, see if you like it. You probably will. Then you can get your race license for like £300 or whatever. They take you through the race license, and at the end, you've got a piece of paper or a card that says, I can race. That's the easy bit, my friend. Then you go on to what we've been talking about, getting all the money to race. Now, you can go through the back door, like I've said before, if you want to get into motorsport, which is going to lead me on to two other questions. If you want to get into motorsport, you can work for a race team. Even if you're a gopher, even if you're a mechanic, even if you're a truckie, you can work for a race team to get in that way, and that gets you into the environment, and then you start to learn the industry from the inside. And eventually, if you're not in a rush, you can get in that car. I did it as a mechanic. I said to a race team, can I work on your cars, please? All I'd done is 1 year of mechanics before this in a college. I had no idea what I was doing. I was preparing race cars. I got in there somehow, and eventually I got to coaching the drivers because I'd done a bit of racing before. And then it was like, if you supply the car, this is what I said to the race team, if you supply the car and I work on it myself, what's the budget you could offer me? And because I was working out myself, because they had the car anyway, I got next to nothing deal. You know what I mean? I got to race for like a few hundred or £1,000 a weekend because most of the expenses I'd taken on. Got somebody to offer me supply the race, fuel, the tires. So you can do it a million ways. It depends if you've got cash. If you've got cash, get your race license, pay a team, and off you go. If you haven't got cash, you've got to be a lot more creative, and it's going to take a lot more time. So be willing to even get in the industry and find out, just to work in it. So you're earning money being there in the first place. then you can build from there. So there's no one correct answer, but really get your race license and on you go, son. You can do championships like in England. I don't know if you're from England, but the MX-5 or the BMW Compact, and they're all about 20 grand. Now, I'm sure all you people out there that say I can't race, once this is settled and we're in 2021, you can get yourself to England and you can earn, between now and then, 20k to run a race car in a championship. Get some good results. Get some sponsors. 2022, you do the championship again, but this time you win it. 2023, you step up to a bigger category. You got more contacts. Dream big, start small. Remember, it's probably one of the first videos you saw me do. Doesn't change now. I'm going to put on YouTube again because I haven't seen any questions for ages, just in case. Oh, there's some capitals. Coronavirus will do as when tobacco companies banned from motorsport. Don't get that. You have to tell me that again. I'll PM you later. Thanks, Jacob. Right, back to this. Brad, I talked to you about not having a sim at home. Now, I've had a few questions. I don't want people to switch off right now, but I've had a few questions on engineering and how to get into engineering. Now, if you want to be an engineer, you want to get in through that back door, I don't see why not. It's a good idea. I'm going to try and attempt something now because you also asked, how do you become an engineer? Now, people become engineers by first maybe being a mechanic in a race team. They do that for a few years. I know quite a few engineers that have done that. And then you progress through the race team, like a company, and you start to engineer drivers. You start to learn about that. You become a data engineer first, which is just you're there as a data monkey. And then you move up to actually engineering the car and changing the setup on a car, and you're working with a driver. So you can do that, or you can go, if you're going for F1, a lot of people do all their degrees at university on engineering, a certain specific area of engineering for F1. There's many programs out there you can look at on universities, and they go straight to an F1 team. But then you're just usually in an office crunching numbers all day. So I think you'd like to be on the scene, helping a driver win, working with a driver, and they earn good money. I think a race engineer can be earning 40, 50, 60, 70 grand, and they're getting more and more valuable now because you know the secrets of the car, so you get more valuable. It's quite a good way, and then you can start racing after. Now I'm going to attempt to share something because you said how, there's a few questions actually over the years. How does a race driver or an engineer work with a race driver, should I say? And it's this. Let me just transition this over, see if I can show you. Now, hopefully you can see this. This is what data looks like when you're comparing two drivers, right? Now you can see the green line is quicker here. So you just say, okay, that car has got some waft. Or that car hasn't got much wing. It's quicker down the straight than the red line. And you can see down here, the red car has lifted off later. So it's going deeper into the corner. There's no braking trace, I don't think. No, so you can't, but he's braking later, so you can see that. And you can see like round here, this part, turn 7, the blue car's had a lift. So what the engineer does, quite simply, the engineer goes through the data and says, yeah, you need to brake later here because your teammate is, and blah, blah, blah. That's the easy bit. But what a really good engineer does is they see the difference between, is it a driver that's doing this, my driver that I'm like this with? Is it my driver that's braking early? Or is it the car setup that's forcing them to brake early? They have to decode that. Not only do they have to decode that and probably make a change in the settings of the car, because obviously the downforce should make them brake later, so the other one can't brake that late, but also, how can I talk to this driver and allow them to do that through their driving and driver coach them? So being an engineer is not just making the car as quick as possible. It's also looking at all the data, decoding it and saying, what have I got to tell this driver to do? And deeper than that, this is where I come in, deeper than that, how can I mentally make the driver drive this way? If they're lifting before the high speed corner, and that's causing the car to be unsettled, I've got to now give that driver the confidence to keep that throttle on, or to at least not lift fully. So the engineer has to do a lot. They have to run the car. They have to be the boss of the car. So I would say being an engineer is quite a cool job. It's like being a race driver, but you're not quite in there. You're the think tank. You're the one that has to be there with the answers, and the driver looks at you for the answers. Because a lot of them are not that intelligent now. They need to be told how to drive. They come in, they see the data, and they go, all right, okay, that's how I can go quicker. So you have to have the answers. So it's not easy being a engineer now. So it does help actually if you've had racing background before you become an engineer. So that's the engineers, right? That's the engineering questions done. So that's to Yaz and some of the people that have asked about that. So I'm going to try and finish off. Is there any questions that anybody wants right away? Enzo, when you get a chance, should a driver move to Europe from the US? Thanks for this, mate. I would say yes if the visa allows. Now, I'm the sort of person that wants to get to US, so I'd go the other way. But the difference is, in England, because you say Europe, but it depends what level you're at. If you haven't got much money, then England is the place to be, because virtually every hour that you're driving, you're going to get another circuit. The circuits everywhere. There's probably like 10, 15 circuits in this country that are really active. And that makes it very cost effective for traveling. So if you're in one of these small championships, you just go another hour down the road. That's your next race. No more than probably 7 hours is the next one. However, when you're in America, if you're based in Tampa, Florida, it's great when you're racing down in Sebring and that lot, and Homestead. But if you've got to go all the way to Laguna, that's a massive amount, and that's big bills. To drive the car, to get the truck that far, you're talking like $2,000, $3,000 just in fuel probably. So that changes the budget a bit more. Plus in the UK and Europe, we have insurance. In the US, people don't like to insure the cars. So if you crash, you pay for it. In Europe, it's a bit easier on that as well. It's a bit lower on the insurance. So most people have got insurance. In fact, most teams include insurance in their budget. So we can get sponsorship from an insurance team, obviously. Right, Enzo, is Britain good for Formula racing? Trying to get myself some sponsorship. Cheers, Lucas, to get into F4 in Germany or British F4. I've got to be careful who I piss off here, because British F4 isn't what it used to be. Now, it's good to learn. It's cheap. That's what British motorsport's good for. British F3 as well. Got a driver in that this year, and it's around 300 grand pounds, right? But you get so much seat time. If you go to Europe, F4 can cost more than that. I had a driver that was quoted 750 grand for F4 euros. 750,000 for F4. That's to do 2 championships, the Italian and the German, obviously, but still it's going crazy. How the hell can normal people afford that now? So that's in Europe. It's going bananas. And there's so many multimillionaires that have got sons that are paying for it. So if you're not in that position, you have to be a bit more clever. Now, I think the road to Indy is awesome, because obviously you've got the scholarship. If you win it, you get half the budget towards the following year. So the USF 2000, was it called Indy Pro 2000 now, which was Mazda? That's got more of a driver investment. So if you've got some wealthy guys that want to own a racehorse, which is you, the driver, then America works. But if you want cheap racing, which is a lot of track time on circuits that are pretty damn hard to drive, so you're going to get, the British drivers are pretty quick because they've done it forever here. If you want to really improve your driving a cost-effective way, then England is your choice. But if you've got loads of money and you want to go F1, Europe is your choice. So I hope that's cleared that up. I'm in New York, very little track activity around me. Move. You've heard me say that before. If you wanted to be a Hollywood star, right? You wanted to be a film star, where would you go? Even if you lived in Botswana, but you wanted it to happen, where would you go? You go to Hollywood. I know you're going to say, that's easy for you to say, I'm too young or I haven't got the money to do it, but that's just the answer. If you want to get around motorsport, and you can work for a race team while you're there, or you study and get a student visa while you're racing, if you're allowed that, then just go there and make it happen. If there's no racing in your vicinity, then you're not going to be racing there. It's going to be expensive. So do what you can to get any kind of scholarship. Do what you can to get a job for a race team, and they can put you up with all their other mechanics. So I know Carlin Racing, done a few years with them. They set up in Florida. Can't remember where now. They set up in Florida, and all the mechanics went there and lived together. There's race teams that do that as well. So I would move to where the epicenter is of what you want to do. Okay. My missus has just said, you're amazing. Love you. She's watching this. Any more questions before we go? If I'm a student in the UK and I want to do a cost-effective championship, what's the best championship? Dude, I just told you. MX5, Compact, Caterham, Formula Ford on the classic side. Not major classics, so it's the 1960s, but sort of like the 80s. All that can be done under 30 grand. Still means you've got to raise quite a wedge, but I think it's possible if you work at it in these 3 months. So get that through as well, everybody. It is possible to race. Probably just need a ticket to get here. And who knows when the borders are going to open again. Right, there's nothing shouting at me. If you want one more question, I'm a 23-year-old. Thank you, Christian. It's worthy, is it? It's worthy do career on F4 to get to F1 better than try. Right, yeah, got it. No, your English is perfect. I've got it. F4 is obviously the best way if you want to be noticed. I'm trying to think of drivers, just personal experiences, because it's the best way. Liam Lawson, who I was with, I'm still with now. He came to Europe, 2 years ago to race in German F4. And he didn't have much money at all. Honestly, he's got zero in terms of racing budget. And he came second. Then he got sponsorship somehow to do TRS, right, in New Zealand, and came first. Boom, signed up by Red Bull. So that's where they're looking. The F1 teams look at World Championship karting, which costs hundreds of thousands. The F1 teams look at F4, which costs nearly $500,000. And that's where they're really watching, mate. And I think actually TRS in New Zealand has now got the top drivers, and Fraga, who won it, who beat Liam this year, which was a shame for us, he got signed up by Red Bull. So actually that championship, if you're a Kiwi right now, you save your money and you get racing in TRS and you do well. Things might just happen. So there's certain championships that are a bit out there you didn't think of. New Zealand Championship, by the way, if anyone doesn't know, it's only held over 5 weeks from like mid-January to the end of February. So it's a really small championship. Costs about 100 grand, something like that, dollars. But it's worth it if you do well. And they use the Formula Renault car. So that, I would say, is quite a clever idea. If you're from that part of the world, or you think you can get a sponsor for New Zealand. So yeah, if you're going for F1, it's really mainstream and it's so expensive. Sorry, but it's just the way it is. It's F1, F2, F3, F4, World Championship karting. Now, there will be the odd person that all of a sudden pops up from elsewhere, but that's pretty much where they're looking. You've got to peacock and stand out. Right, I get lots of these rally questions. How to get into WRC, Tom? You probably asked me before, and lots of people have been shouting at me, for God's sake, Enzo, do something. Do something on rallying. But I'm not from that world. I'm not from rally world, so it's really difficult for me to genuinely say, this is how you get into rallying, because I don't know. I know there's going to be ways of you finding out. There's going to be, like, if you're from England, there's going to be a British Championship that's very cheap. You turn up in your Ford Fiesta and on you go. And you do it, and it's going to cost X amount. Really hard to get sponsorship for, by the way. That's going to be, because there's no value for companies, right? So that's really difficult. But there's going to be still a ladder. So I really apologise to all the rally people out there, but I've never even coached a rally driver. Now, I have once, but that was just a quick thing. I had a rally driver fitness instructor. I had Colin McRae's as my fitness coach when I was, did it for free, sponsorship, when I was driving, but that's it. So I can ask around. And I will do a rally episode this season. So bear with me and I'll find out someone. In fact, I'll do like a Skype interview and they'll tell you. That'd be better. Okay, USF4 Championships. That was busy. Matt Cowley was the person I knew in that. That worked well. It didn't work well for him. Didn't quite have the car and the budget, so fair enough. Local car dealerships. What's this? Enzo, do you think it's worth to contact local car dealerships to input cars to get money? Why the hell not? Yeah, do it. Now, the thing I found with local car dealerships are, if you're doing Mazda, if you're doing a championship that's one make, it's pretty good then to go to a local car dealership of that marquee. So you go to all the Mazda ones that are around you and say, I'm racing this. Would you like that car in your showroom? Would you like to offer people who buy a brand new Mazda MX-5 a free day out at the races, branding on the car? You can have the car whenever you want. I'll do track days for your clients. So they come to the circuit. We give them 7-10 laps. We have to give them a good time as a bit of a reward. We can incentivize your staff to give them a boost. So the top 3 sales people come to do a track day with me in my Mazda race car, and I'll coach them as a driver. This is what you say. And it's going to cost you 10, 20 grand for the whole thing. Then I think car dealerships would be like, that's worth it. We can offer our customers a day out at the races, an experience in the race car. If I buy this new MX-5, that's possible. So yeah, car dealerships, I think on that front are really good. In terms of importing, I wouldn't know. It's not my area, but that's where I've seen dealerships work for drivers. Also, you can do it as a bit of a PR thing. Dealerships will often, if you're racing a BMW championship or something like that, I've seen a driver do this last year. Ben Green did this really well. The dealership gave him a car. It was a brand new car. I think it was a Z4 or something, just to go around with. It's plastered in their name. So he was driving it around the UK to all the different race circuits he was racing. They had some branding on the car, maybe, probably a little bit of money, I don't know. But they raised his profile. And he could then go meet and put on these days and meet top people who have got BMWs. And you never know what goes from there. Networking is big. You're going to have to schmooze your way, sell your way to so many different things until one of them gives you a shot. You're going to do 100 things, right, you guys, if you want sponsorship. You're going to do 100 things and only one of them will pay out. Now tell me you're not going to be busy over these 3 months. There's no excuses, right? So that's just the way it is. It's like being a business. You have to sell, and just provide value, should I say. This is you pouring in. How can I help this company? How can I help this company? With no thought about how it's going to come back to you yet. You just go in that mindset. What does this company need? How the hell can I as a person do that for them? Even if it's a freebie. And it's that person who creates value in the world will always be okay in the end. This is sales. You can't just go in for the ask and the sell all the time. You have to give all the time until something drops. Okay, the questions are still coming in, so I'm just going to keep going. Jacob, what have you said? I do sim racing and have a 10% road win. 10%, that's not bad. Percentage. Professionals have 30. Yeah, okay. What is best for me to get faster? To get that already racing 24 hours a week. What, you want to get faster on sim racing? The little tricks. I've got VRS. I don't know if you've got it. Virtual Race School. For anyone who loves iRacing, Virtual Race School is good because you can overlay your data to what the quickest person has done that's uploaded to that website, and you get their setup. Setup's big, my friend. So you can you probably do this already on VRS, but you download the setup that person used, you overlay your data to theirs, and it's there. This is how you can go quicker, and you start from there. And also a little trick is after you've had a race with these people that are really good, you watch the replay of the race. You sit on their car, watch where they're braking, take notes. Treat iRacing like it's real racing. You watch the line they're taking. You learn off them as they're doing amazing times, and then put the practice in. Just looking at your notes, right? They went through there in 6th gear. Damn it, I was shifting down to 5th. And then you learn from there. Take it really seriously. And that's 2 pointers. So watch others and do things like VRS. And I'm sure there's other things on there as well, Virtual Racing School. Right, are we finished, people? I'm 18 from Arizona. This is Nicholas, and I want to start racing after high school. I want to know at the best racing school. Just look in your local area, mate, because they change so fast. When I passed my test at racing license, it was like a week's course, a week long, get this, around Donington, in the car every day for £2,500. And at the end of it, you got your race license. It's pretty stupid if you didn't. And you did a race with all the other students at the end of it. Don't think they exist anymore, but there's some Richard Petty, is it? Sorry, I don't know the name. And other people do kind of things like that. So just, mate, Google. For most of the questions you people ask me, Google is your friend. You will find what's the best race school out there. What does it do? And there's so many. If you're from the UK, I love Thruxton and Silverstone for what they do. America, obviously, the Laguna Seca do theirs. Sonoma have got one, I think, and they've got a small championship there as well, so that could be good. But yeah, right, I'm finishing. This is it. So I hope everybody has enjoyed what they've just seen. If you've got any more questions, I'll load them up. If you prefer this to the normal route, or if you want a question, a recorded one on a certain one, if you want interviews, because I can do that now, just let me know. Give me some feedback. Thank you all for tuning in. You do mean a lot to me. You keep me going. Can't tell you how long I've been looking forward to doing this. Today I've just been sitting here. What can I do? I know, I'll do the countdown video. So yeah, so hope you enjoyed it. Keep asking, and like I always say, see you soon. See you next time.